Late. Uh, what's going on? This is an unplanned stream where I'm just kind of testing it out, see how it works. Remember when he said he used to always stream The Last of Us? I do remember that. What's up? How's it going, everybody? So yeah, what's up, guys? Twitter was working. People were able to send, but I don't know. I got scared and I left. What about Ben? Yeah, just busy. Glad you guys can come out. When is more music coming out? Yeah, I don't know, man. Soon, maybe? Maybe not. Oh, you mean music from me? Oh, I don't know. I'm always writing something, so where and when it will come out is the question. The temperature, I think, is somewhere below 60 or something, I think. Replace the guy who got booted from Bungie? Not that I know of. You guys crack me up. Favorite character is a doctor. You know, is there anybody whose favorite is Takeo? He's kind of like the Lisa Simpson of the zombies characters. No, I'm just kidding. He's actually pretty funny. The doctor is the funniest. Like his OG lines are so good. Your friend is a Takeo fan? Okay. Favorite character, Stuhlinger. Interesting. Thank you, Ilario. Nikolai is hilarious too. They're all great. It's hard to pick a favorite. They're all great. Zombie song, hardest to make. Probably, I don't know. I changed what I say a lot, but probably Dead Flowers. That was a house of cards that we had to keep working on, but it was rewarding in the end. Just because of the way that we wrote it. Oh yeah, so have you guys been listening to all the previously unreleased songs that are out on all the platforms now? Right on. Biscuits 67. Thanks, Yannick. Dead Flowers was planned, well, I mean, the original, like the intro, the synth thing I wrote 9 or 10 years earlier than that. You can see in my video, it's called, what did I call it? I forgot what I named the video, but there's a link to it in the Dead Flowers video. I call it The Seed of Dead Flowers. Someone tell me what I called it. Dead Fragment, thank you. You wondered why songs from both of you are not on Spotify? You might want to go check again. Start a band, yeah. I don't know if I could ever do the live thing. That's a lot of work. Am I still in contact with Maluk and Elena? Yeah, all the time. Hey, thank you, boys. Can't wait to hear your angelic lyrics of future games. Any rumors? There'll be something, something. I'm always working on something. Um, where and when it comes out, you know, if there is a future for it, I, of course, couldn't say anything, but I will never stop writing. Except the other Kevin Sherwood stole Volume 1. No, he's a good guy. It's not his fault. It was a problem with the distribution that I think we finally fixed. Collab with Matt Heafy. Yeah, he's a cool dude. That would probably have to be his call, I would suppose. Sometimes, you know, how's a cigar? It's great. It's an Oliva Serie V anniversary. Kevin Sherwood operator. Yeah, maybe. You're welcome, Grey Ghoul. I'm glad you like it. Thank you, Swift and Famous. Yeah, the Kevin Sherwood collab. You know, there's a third Kevin Sherwood. If you guys look it up, he made a movie, I think in the 90s or early 2000s, called Gamers. Isn't that weird? Because there's a Kevin Sherwood who's a music guy. There's a Kevin Sherwood who made a movie called Gamers. It's like about D&D. And then there's me. Oh yeah, Heafy, I know Heafy would be up for it. The collabs are hard. Even if you like the person, even if you get along, you know, you never know how it's going to turn out. It'll probably turn out great, but, you know. Whoa, Oasis, what's up? Thank you for modding for me, and it's good to see you again, too. A Kevin Sherwood film, music by Kevin Sherwood, yeah. We could have all three Kevin Sherwoods in there. All right on, Logan. We should remake the movie. I don't know if that guy does anything anymore. I haven't tried to check in on him, but, you know. I remember you could watch the movie on Netflix at one point. How's the time with A7X? It was awesome. They came in, said, we love zombies. Can we write a song? We said, of course. And then they just did a couple times. Does anyone know why Pareidolia and Coming Home weren't included with the Zombies album? I think one of you guys can answer that. You should go check now. If I could pick which Zombies game was my favorite to work on. Well, I mean, I always pick Knocked because it was an amazing experience having, you know, there was no zombies. We were working on it. The world didn't know about it, and then it did. I'll never have another development experience like that again, I don't think. You want to go as me for Halloween? Sure. Referee Rob, would love to sing Carry On With You, highly underrated song. My favorite. That's awesome, man. That was the first one with Clark. Sometimes it takes me a few songs to really understand a singer's range and what I can do with them, but, you know, Clark did a great job. That was a fun one, too, because I got to write that one. I chose to write that one in a deceptive triplet meter. You know, the intro and the verse is triplet, but I try to disguise it as not. My favorite guitar to use is, I mean, my Octavia 8-string and my new Halo 7 Custom. Why weren't they on Spotify before? There was just some weird choices about, like, we want to, this wasn't my decision, that, you know, I wanted to put some of these songs, some of them not, I don't know. Jimothy, giant spiders living in your backyard, mini bosses, how about, yes, is the answer, I'm pretty sure. Mr. Pigeon, will you be making music for, well, if I were making something for something in the future, I wouldn't be able to comment on it. And welcome, Jimothy and Mr. Pigeon. Yeah, Jimbo in chat. Man, it's like old times. I miss it. I'm going to try and do these streams a little bit more. Clark killed it on Dead Ended. Right on. Glad to see you're doing well. Thank you, Emilio. Favorite Clark song is Lone. Favorite Lena one is 115. Right on. Helped you through some tough times. That's good, man. Music used to do that for me too. So I'm glad if anything I could do is doing that for somebody else. Midnight Wit Cigar. I'm doing an Oliva Series V 135th anniversary. Redhead. The one will always be my favorite song to slay zombies to. Keep on the great work. So you like the OG ones. I remember sitting in my office in the old building writing that one, and then going back home and getting an acoustic and finishing it off. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a good memory. And the question of Diaglag GAX 7, are we going to get a physical vinyl? I don't know about the physical copies. I'm going to bring it up. You know, everyone's busy, but I've heard people ask me this, so I know there's some kind of market for it. Leviathan, Percussion Archangel, right on. Huge fan. What are some of the bands, groups, and music that influenced you the most in making zombie music? Bands that influenced me is a long list. I guess the ones I kind of draw from directly or indirectly. You know, it's subconscious. When you write, you do what you think makes sense, but what makes sense to you is your influences that you grew up with. So some singer-songwriter stuff when I do some of it, but I mean, guitar playing wise and song structure wise, a lot of King Diamond, In Flames. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. Was chocolate mispronounced in the one? I take poetic license whenever I want. Who is this guy and why am I subbed? Yeah, that should be on my crest. You feel bad for getting that? Don't feel bad. Luis, what's going on? How the Easter egg songs began? It was unnocked. You know, we were all making the mode. Just, you know, everybody, all departments were like, oh, you know what would be cool? Let's do this. And when I saw the death screen and it was hovering over there, it was just silent. I'm like, I got a chord progression that I just have, and let me record it and let's try to put it over there. And you know, Brian and I worked on it, and that's what started it. Have I heard of the Rings of Saturn? Yes, they're a great band. Do I still work for Treyarch? I do. I have been. I think I'm going on 18 years now, I think. 17 plus, at least. Riff for Pareidolia. You know, that line between not having something and something, you know, breaking the blank page is a mystery. I've been writing my own notes about how to explain that. And the answer is, I don't know. That's the short answer. There's a long answer too that I will someday try to articulate. Why is 115 alternate picked and not down picked? I like that question. Because the turnaround, I like the sound of alternate picking. And when I originally played it starting with down pick, you know, on that pickup note. So all the are all upstrokes, and they have that kind of percussive thing. You know, that's the thing about music. You can't just play the notes in the rhythm they're supposed to be. It's the way that you play them that makes all the difference. But you can play that starting with an up pick too. And then when it turns around, it stays perfect alternate. Was Carry On originally titled Carry On? No, that's funny actually. Completely independent of what Avenged was doing. I just was thinking, and I came up with it, wrote it, and then when I saw their song, I even texted Matt. I'm like, I swear to God, I had no idea you guys were writing a song called Carry On, but I happened to write Carrion. Murasaki, never knew I'd see me streaming. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm gonna try to do this more often because I know you guys have a lot of questions and want to talk about stuff, and I like doing this. So, hardest song of mine to play. Well, I mean, technically, probably A Light from the Shore. If you do all the solo stuff, you know, the Timu stuff is the hardest stuff to play by far. How do you get palm muting so tight? Just got a 7, and I get some open string resonance. Practice, you know, and you can obviously put a band around the headstock so you don't get the ringing from those strings. And if you're recording, you can really dead the strings you're not going to play on certain riffs. Like if you're only going to use these 3 riffs and you're recording, just put something like even tape on the other strings and keep them quiet. But otherwise, you know, metronome, practice, and time. I keep hearing maracas. Do you mean just in your head or in a song? Why was the piano removed from Lullaby? You know, I'm trying to remember that. I think when I showed it to some people, like they didn't like the piano, so we took it out, but I still had the version. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll put the piano version on. I don't know where the stems are to either version, so Mr. Innocence, thank you very much. Stormbound is fantastic. Thank you. That warms my heart. I really like the song Stormbound, and that's probably one of the least popular songs for whatever reason. But every time I hear it, I'm like, you know, why isn't this one more popular? That one just congealed out of nothing, and I don't really know how. I don't know if I could do that again like that. Oh, my mic is rubbing? I'm sorry. Is that what's happening? I can't hear what it sounds like. I apologize. So tell me now, does it still sound like it's doing it when I hold it like this? How do I come up with my drum beats? Do you open a VST and just go for it? Do you have a real kit? I mean, I'm always writing with software. So I think I spend more time on drums than anything else, even though I'm primarily a guitar player, but I spend a lot of time with drums. I talk with drummers. Sometimes I'll have them work out drum parts, and I'm like, you know, where should I use these cymbals? And they're like, oh, hit those at the same time as snares, and I'll figure out stuff. And, you know, drums are like the soul of the song. Not the soul, like the skeleton. You dig Stormbound and Eye in the Well, right on. Yeah, the gift is on there. They're all on there, man. I don't know. What is that video? Who is that? That's not an insult to him. I don't know who anyone is. How much do I play zombies? I haven't played a game of anything in a while. I gotta change that. It's all on Apple, it's all on Spotify, it's all on everything. Yeah, some people asked for the instrumental to the 2018 Where Are We Going, but that was Jack Wall's arrangement, so he has the instrumentals, not me. That would be up to him. I'll mention it to him, though. Was I originally going to do more songs for Cold War? Well, I do them when I can, and that was the first time I just schedule and life stuff all converging to the point where, I mean, I was barely getting them out even when I did, and at that point I just hit some critical mass perfect storm and kind of just, you know, had to take a step back for a while. Alone, Well, and Shockwave, right on. You know, Shockwave, Mystery, and Drowning, I wrote all at the same time. Oh, Chad Smith, Red Hot Chili Peppers, yeah. That's cool. But why are you telling me about the Chad Smith video? And I mean, just curious, is there... He is awesome. I think I met him at one point. Wait, no, I didn't. Someone got his autograph on a CD for me a long time ago. Yeah, a lot of people asking for isolated vocals. I don't know if we'll release stems or not. First of all, I have to find them all. I'm actually working on archiving all the stems to all the songs before they're lost forever. Favorite sport? For a long time, it was hockey. I also like MMA. Would I make a song with Mick Gordon? Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I was put in a position to, like, someone said, I need you guys to do something, but, you know, sometimes that stuff works out, sometimes it doesn't. The styles can be different and might be weird. Israel asking, you're amazing, saying, you're amazing, keep up the making music, fam. Thanks, man. Thanks for the 2, and I really appreciate you coming out to the stream. Can I do scream vocal? No, I'm not a good singer, screamer, or anything. Why does the remaster for the 1 have different drums? That was when I was testing out my TuneTrack drum software, and I wanted to do a few songs and just swap the drums just to see what it was like to get used to using them before I wrote another song. And we just kind of had it around, and that's when they said they wanted to put out the album, the original ones. So they asked if we had any extra stuff. And so that was one of them. It was just kind of like a little hobby thing. More playthroughs like 115. Yeah, I do need to do that. It's on my list. You dig Light from the Shore? Cool. Yeah, so Light from the Shore, I know a lot of people, aren't into instrumentals, and I get that. And that's the weird thing about zombie songs, is they're not albums. I come out with a single at a time. So if you would buy a whole album and there's an instrumental on there, no one says, I wish that instrumental wasn't there. They get into it later. But when you put them out one at a time, when your whole thing is an instrumental, that's the only new thing there, it's one of those things. But I'm glad I did it. I think it's cool, and I know some of you like it. Thanks, Classical Zombie Gamer. What did Corey Redgriff do for Lullaby of a Dead Man and Pareidolia? So Corey Redgriff was my college roommate in Berkeley and Boston, and I had him he actually played the bass on Lullaby on keyboard, because I didn't have a bass, and he did the piano parts on Lullaby, and he also did the piano on Pareidolia. Inspiration for A Light from the Shore, Fleetway Dude asks. We kind of did variations of a bunch of different zombie songs, and it's based on Damned. And we were just trying to tell a abstract story via music about the whole zombie story. So if you think about the zombie story in its entirety, you should try reading it with headphones on and listen to it and see if you can find out which parts relate to what. Inspiration for Dead Flowers was just, it was on the swamp map, so I was trying to write something. It's kind of a song that explores the idea of what life is, and without relating it directly to the story, the character speaking in the song seems to create dead things out of beautiful things everywhere they go, and it's the frustration of realizing they're the source of the blight around them. What made me release the songs on Spotify up to this time? I mean, the music department released it. We compiled it. It was just, we wanted to get them out there for so long, but it took a lot of work to find them all and get them mastered and organized. It just, we just dropped the ball and finally tried to make it right. I mean, we were meant to do this a long time ago and just never got around to doing it. And finally, I just kind of did it. Do you ever find yourself struggling with writing lyrics about either the story or the map? Or does it just natural? It's always both. It's always hard. Writing music is hard. But that's what's fun about it and rewarding. So I just, you have to you just have to get in the mindset and stay there for weeks and weeks. Kind of like a method actor, sort of. Thanks, Raptor. How is it working with Elena, and how did she come to be some of the first vocals? She was a producer on James Bond at Treyarch while I was on COD, and after the riff, my boss, Brian Toohey, said, hey, you should put vocals on what became Lullaby. And I know Elena, he knew Elena and said that she sang in bands before, so I was like, okay. That's all it was, just kind of a nonchalant, like, you can sing, let's make something. How hard could it be? Am I working on any new songs? I'm always working on songs. How's Elena nowadays? If you guys follow her, she's running a game company now. She's awesome. I don't know if I'll do any game streams soon. Eventually I think I will, but for now I might just do a regular kind of chat like this on my channel. Mlock, thanks for coming out. Is it okay if I call you Mlock, or is it MLOK? Do you have any stories about working with other musicians? I'm sure I could think of some, but not right now. Braden, you are the coolest guy to stop by live stream. Thanks, man. Appreciate the tube. What did I write first for Archangel? The very intro guitar riff. Actually, so Archangel and I wrote... A lot of my songs are derived from little pieces of songs I had that are unreleased. And funny enough, the is actually part of a march I wrote for the Transformers game that Luxaflux released that never went in the game. Because I never really finished it. I just kind of wrote it and wanted to do something later. But it had a bunch of really cool musical ideas. So that is from that. And then some of the musical things are in Stormbound as well, and maybe another song. I should have made that into like an actual song. I just realized I might do that. How do you turn a riff into a song? I can come up with riffs, but struggle to make them. Hey man, that's the hard part about songwriting. Is that's a long, I mean, I don't even want to call it an explanation. It's an exploration that I'm going to write more about and talk more about, is how do you write? Message of the day, go listen to Stormbound, yeah. Well, I want you to listen to it only if you want to hear it and only if you like it. I'm not going to force anyone to listen to it. Have I ever considered doing a live performance? Yeah, but the coordination and logistics of that would require a lot more buy-in than just me wanting to do it. Stay hydrated. How did I come to work with Maluka? So Maluka went to college with me in Berkeley in Boston and worked in the studio department with me. And so we knew each other the whole time we were there, and then lost contact for a decade. And then someone sent me the Dragonborn thing, and I'm like, oh. So I got a hold of her. I'm like, hey, sing for me. That was the short version of it, and then wrote Where Are We Going first. Any plans on posting personal songs? Yeah, I'd like to. That's why I think I mentioned this before, organizing my social media, start doing merch, to start funding some of the stuff, to get a bunch of people to help me make that possible. Because I just don't have time to do it all myself, so yeah. Making songs for other games is a side project. Now, if I'm working for a game company, I'll only write for that company. Still have the 8-string, I do. What kind of cigar is this? This is an Oliva Serie V 135th anniversary. I bought a box. Inspiration for the breakdown in Archangel? Night Fox. Bro, the song's amazing. You deserve what I got. Thanks, man. Thanks for the 5. Were the drums programmed for the songs, or did you actually play them? They were programmed for all of them except Archangel, which I programmed the initial one. So there's a version of Archangel with all of my programming drums, and then I had Darren write his own after the fact. And then he played them too. Opinion of Mick Gordon? Great, man. He nailed that sound. Deserves everything that he got and more. Have I had vocalists say no in delivering screaming? No, not really. We just kind of tried to work with it a couple times. I don't know. I go back and forth. Sometimes I want aggressive screaming vocals. Sometimes I don't. Stormbound was fun to try and learn. Actually, Stormbound, the riff, came from me practicing down picking, primary down slant picking, and doing like doubles and triples. Kind of hard to explain, but I built the song around that, basically, around an exercise. Inspiration for Abracadabra. Well, I mean, the zombie mode in the story, but using Damned and just kind of building it around that. And Abracadabra, the way I built that song, remind me, just a Dank Raven, how are you doing? Everything well? Yeah. Thanks for the 5, man. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Trying to get back into the stream world again. Abracadabra. So that song is built around the bridge, essentially. And I always explain it like, the A-10 Warthog is a plane. It's a gun with a plane attached to it. Abracadabra is a bridge with a song around it. It's the only time the name is said in the song, and it's the biggest build where everything kind of hints that chord progression is going to be played. And then so it goes all the way up to it, peaks at it, and then settles in and goes back down. Biggest hurdle in songwriting? Biggest hurdle is just not, blank page, getting started. Once you can get something that presents some sort of musical logic to you, that's when you can dive in and think about it day and night, and walk away from it and come back. And then songwriting is vigilance, where you practice, you listen to it, you go away, you come back, and then something will pop in, and if you can capture it, that's how you write. So it's not really creation, it's vigilance and capturing. How's Clark doing? Good, I think. He's always somewhere. Do you play zombies prior to creating? Yeah, I mean, I'm working at the company, we're developing all parts of the game always. Did I write damned? Yep. That's when I got my computer I still use now, my '09 Mac Pro, and put a bunch of software on it and was just testing out some synths, and I heard this one, I put a delay on it, and I'm like, I mean, this inspires me. You know, sometimes an effect will inspire you, and just started playing, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try and make this sound like a 90s horror theme that you swear you've heard before, but you haven't. Thanks, Samuel. Why didn't I make a song for XMAP? Just ran out of time, schedule got busy. Bunch of excuses like that. Archangel, Abra, or Pareidolia, which was the hardest to write? Between those three, I don't know. Maybe Pareidolia. Do I know why the game over songs eventually stopped being previews? For the same reason I was unable to write songs later. Just, I don't know, ran out of time. Mike Dude, thanks so much for the zombie songs on Spotify. You're welcome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed them. And thanks for the $1.99. Appreciate it, man. What was the funniest to write? Probably Lost. And because that was a song that wasn't, thanks for coming out, Joseph. You know, that song wasn't written by us, it was written by Craig Houston, and it was very different, and we had to try and arrange it to edge it up and turn it into zombie style. I mean, we took all the vocals, and we even used pitch to change it, to make harmonies out of it, and it's completely different than what it started out. Do I have restrictions on my lore knowledge? No, I mean, I know all of it all the time as it's going. Thank you, Raptor. Thanks, Chawas. Right on, Mr. Innocence. Yeah, Alone is a weird one, huh? So I changed my sound for that and tried to make it sort of, kind of 80s, 90s sounding with some, you know, the synth thing. Changed the drum sound completely. And when I was talking to Clark, I told him to sing like Archibald from Tears for Fears. And I knew, I mean, he wasn't going to sound like it, but just aiming for that made him sound different, so that he kind of has that game show Clark sound. Like Smash TV, sort of. Did I write the game over songs first, or previews? So yeah, back then, I committed to the songs by writing, you know, something I thought sounded cool, and that was the game over, and I had to write the song around that later, so that's how we did it. Thinking back on that, it's crazy, because I had to commit to that. Which Black Ops was a favorite. I always like the original ones, you know, so I like one. Beauty of Annihilation. Beauty of Annihilation was a hard song to write. You know, it's not necessarily hard to play at all, but like we call it scaffolding. Clark and I. This is actually another songwriting thing, I guess, or insight, is that a lot of times you'll write something with the intent of going somewhere, and this whole structure you have inspires you to write this other thing, but then when you get this other thing, you're like, oh, and then you get rid of all the previous stuff that was there. So there's no semblance of that original stuff in there, but now you have this new thing that wouldn't exist without the previous part. So it's like scaffolding that you eventually tear down. And Beauty had a lot of that. Yeah, so when the map packs released, the next Easter egg song wasn't finished. It was barely started. It was just enough to fill up that time. I think it was 15 seconds. I can't remember, of the death song. How's writing the gift? That was cool. That the thing in the very beginning that everyone always asks about is a synth of a violin bow on bicycle spokes. So why did some of the game over versions of the song sound more louder with the drums and the full version? Well, because when I was putting the game over song, it was just what I had done at the time. So it was like quick mastering, throw it in there, and sometimes I even change parts of it and reinforce it. So because they weren't done, so I didn't know what the song was going to be. Yeah, the classic death songs with zombie laughs. I miss doing that too. I said I'd only work on a game if you were the sole leader on it. No, I would only, if I work, since I work for Treyarch, I'd only make songs for Treyarch, just because, that's the way it has to be. They don't want me making songs for other games. Was I rushed on doing the songs in Cold War? I mean, I'm rushed on all of them. All of them are rushed. What was the inspiration for We All Fall Down? Well, I mean, the concept is because, die, rise, you're up high. But the concept behind it is the lyrics are like a lab report. So in the beginning, it's like the scientist reading the lab report. So when he says the controls are feeling fine, I'm talking about the control group in an experiment where you have, groups set up for an experiment and the controls, get the placebo and they don't have anything and you want to see their effect versus the other group. The making of it, that'd be cool. Do I still work at Treyarch? I do. I've been there, I think I mentioned, going 17, 18 years now. What effects do I use in the zombie songs? A lot of different ones. It depends on the one. I Am the Well. I know that's an abstract concept one. I kind of got the idea for talking about well as in knowledge and what he's becoming from the episode of Twin Peaks season 3 from David Lynch. It's the atomic bomb episode. Sensei asking favorite zombie song. I don't know. I don't really have. I mean, I like saying Lullaby just because it was the first. Do I have an Axe FX? I do. I've never used it. I knew a guy who had worked with Periphery. So it's the Axe FX that Misha and I forget his name now, but it's theirs. I still have their settings in it, but I never used it. I still have it. Have I watched Ash vs. Evil Dead? Yeah, that was a great show. Thanks, Third Impact. Difference between the original 115 and the remastered. It's a very subtle one. Scott, the mixer, wanted to do something different on the bass, and we just kind of had it around when they wanted some extra content for that album, so we put it on there. Best Bo 2 music. I don't know. I'm really partial to Always Running. That was a fun one to write. Did I work with Avenged on their zombie songs? No, they just did their thing. That's what they do. They just come in and they churn out hits like in a week. They write way faster and better than I do. Blubs, what's the story behind you guys doing more and more ambient music, custom round jingles starting with Mob? I don't know. I don't remember. That's the worst song I ever made? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. Someone asked slower or faster songs. I have to make myself write faster songs because I always tend to, for whatever reason, when I don't pay attention to it, I end up at 90 BPM, sometimes slower. I don't know why. Do you use amp sims or real amps? Amp sims. For every song I've done has all been, except for Stormbound, because I had that mixed by Josh Wilbur, who reamped it into a real amp. Still in the bacon train, not as much as I used to be. Still love bacon, but not as much as I've did in the past. That was just a weird time where it's all I wanted to have. Least fun song to write? I don't know. I mean, well, least fun would have to be like the tightest deadline. I think Coming Home had probably the tightest deadline of all of them, and like it was, it came in on fire, like barely getting it done in time. You dig alone? That's cool. Did I make all the damn songs? No, I mean, Tui did a bunch. I mean, I personally wrote Damned, obviously the first one, and then Echoes of the Damned. And Brian did all the other versions, and Jack did a version, I think, or two. Hey, Zin1X. You like Light from the Shores? Anything that you liked about, enjoyed working on? It was just cool to work with Tamu, and James, just orchestrating it, just to see where it would come out. Do you ever use any DAW software? Well, I mean, like the digital audio workstation, the primary one that I write songs on is Logic. So Logic Pro X is what it's at now. That's what I use every time I write a song. Do you feel how did you feel when you started singing the songs to yourself? Well, if that's what every musician is chasing, is that, like you get goosebumps, that pumped up manic feel when you get something that works and is cool. So that's the drug of songwriting. The 10-string guitar, it hasn't been in any zombie songs. I got it made, and it's so complicated that I just never ended up using it for anything. Thanks, Dirty Rat. Favorite zombies character is the Doctor. Best beginner software? I see Cubase has come a long way over the years, and a lot of people seem to be able to jump in pretty quickly to that, and I think it's fairly cheap, and it has really good features, and big bands have produced great albums on it, so I think that's a pretty good. Although Reaper, it's got kind of a high learning curve, but it's it's almost free pretty much, and it can do just about anything, but it is kind of difficult to get into, even for a pro. How much have I actually played zombies? Back in the beginning, all the time. But lately, I hardly play anything at all. Thanks, Swift. Do I still work with Maluka? I do. We're trying to team up more, and she helps me edit and process, and even talk to singers and communicate and do all sorts of stuff. So we're starting to kind of work as like a songwriting team, sort of. We're going to start streaming together too, I believe. How do I feel about Meshuggah? They're great. They were a genre changer. Songs in Clone Hero, nice. You love Drowning? I hope you mean the song. Mike Dude, which game did you have the most fun creating songs? Thanks to the 199, man. The game I had the most fun creating songs, I mean, the original one, not just because it was new and I didn't know what I was doing. It was just, I think I mentioned I'll never probably have that experience again, because it was just brand new, and I had planned on just giving up music entirely, and I wasn't going to do anything. And then once that started kind of taking off, I was like, oh, maybe I'll try writing some more songs. When I was making Alone, what was going through my mind? I wanted it to sound like it could be, if modern metal had started in the 80s. How did Treyarch originally find me? Well, I moved to California and, got a QA job for about a year and just talked to anyone I could and told them I wanted to be in audio. I'll work as much overtime as possible, and that's where I met David Vonderhaar, and he brought me over to Treyarch. And I just kept working. Then I met Brian, who was the audio director, and they let me do some stuff as a QA tester on COD 3. And I was working on Big Red 1 at the time, and that's how I got in. How did I come to the decision of having 2 different chorus type sections? Yeah, some of my song structure, it's one of those things where it'd be fun to say, I decided to do this and this, but one thing kind of implied another, and I just had to flesh it out until it sounded good. And when I tried to look back and analyze it, I would say, this doesn't make any sense, but I like the way it sounds, so it stays. When I play zombies on the occasion, would I ever activate my own songs? No, I was usually playing with other people and they would do it. I don't like listening to my own stuff, especially when there's other people around. You dig the sound for the song and Drowning? That's cool. We'll ever do another COD Zombies choir tour? Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to plan it, yeah. Thanks, Arm. My cigar is almost out here. Hey, Cole. Impeller, all the songs on your Keybase disappeared. Any chance to put them back on? No, now that they're out on the streaming. Keybase was just kind of an experiment for me for a while. I got really into like encrypted apps. It was just interesting to me, and that was one of them at the time. But then they got bought out by the company, bought out by Zoom, I believe. So my trust in their privacy is lost. Did you work only on the songs or sound overall? Yeah, I'm a primary job as lead sound designer there, so I'm involved in most everything. So glad they got released. Yeah, me too, man. What song, if they were all on an album, what would open and close it? I'd probably just do it chronological. It was 5 hours away from you, the a cappella concert. Yeah, no worries, man. I didn't expect anybody to go to Edmonton. Juan, thanks, man. I stopped watching Boondocks for this. Worth. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've been asked this. How many COD Zombies YouTube people try to contact you for whatever? Is there a legal reason you cannot? What do you mean? Cannot what? I talked to some, zombie YouTubers. Like, back in the day, it was Noah, now JD, Waffles, all those guys. Did I make the 8-bit renditions of the main zombie songs? No, those are all James McCauley, who I work with on a lot of stuff. He's an amazing composer. I'm lucky to just be alive at the same time as that guy, basically. But he did all those. He's done a ton of music. And, he did all the orchestration, like on Where Are We Going? He did a bunch of the stuff on Dead Flowers, Lost. He did some stuff on Echoes of the Damned. Did I work with Bruce on Halloween Pack? Our vocals people, dialogue people did, but I wasn't there. Was Dead Ops made by one person? Sort of. Dead Ops is a Dave King. It's like his baby, but I mean a bunch of people work on it, but he's kind of like the, the torch bearer. Inspiration for the song Undone, somebody asked. That was, we made it for Black Ops 1 because we wanted something Pink Floyd. We couldn't license them or something. So Brian and my boss, he was like, hey, can you write something Pink Floyd-ish? So I just went home and kind of winged something really quick, and that's what it was, and then released it for whatever reason. Favorite Evil Dead movie? I mean, Army of Darkness is fantastic. That's where they just, I'm sure people would say that's probably they would use the sellout word with that, but I don't care. It's an amazing movie. But I also love the first one because that's, it's great. Inspiration for Dead Again. I don't know. That's when I was having, I have a panic disorder that comes and goes, and I was having some of the worst panic attacks of my life during writing that song. So I guess I could say that was helping me write it. The Saw soundtracks remind you of me? Oh, interesting. Which Clark song took the longest to make? Maybe Stormbound? Maybe Stormbound. I'll go with that. Inspiration for Pareidolia. Kind of the setting of the map, and you'll see the face in the thumbnail of the video. Who did the piano outro? That's Corey Redgrift from my Pareidolia. Sean Murray worked with you on the soundtrack. So he wrote the score for our World at War and Black Ops 1, and I basically just took some of his pieces and wrote on top of them. And that's so I wouldn't say I was working with him. I just did some stuff kind of. But he was the composer, and those are his pieces. Are you talking about Vanishing Shore? Thanks, Swift. Hell's Gate, yeah. Just trying to write some cool stuff, it was kind of, for lack of a better term, adding metal into a World War II game, but, I thought it worked. If I could collab with one musician, who would you pick? Man, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Collabs are, actually, James McCauley. I'll pick James. It's kind of an easy answer. Ever think about making a full album with Maluka? That would be great, yeah. I would like to do that. If music ever becomes my sole focus, I plan on churning out tons of content. And, I played a solo. She put out an album, and there's a song called In the Darkness, and I played the solo on there. You should go check it out. It's a lullaby for a dead man from the POV of a zombie or the devil himself. I wouldn't give away who it's for, but it's an exploration of perspective. Do I feel music in games is underappreciated? I don't know. I don't know how much appreciation anything really deserves. It just is what it is. It's either good or not. What exactly does lead sound design entail? It's, managing sound designers and, helping to push the vision and get things done, make sure we hit deadlines, and help people, clear obstacles in order to do their jobs, and make the game cool if you can. Thanks, William. Another asking me again about did I record or play the drums. It was mostly programmed except for Archangel, which was played by Darren Seska. Lullaby of or Lullaby for? I always forget too. It's been back and forth so many times. On the album, I think it's of, or is it for? I don't remember. So would you, for example, make the sounds for a teleporter? I mean, it's possible. A lot of the zombie songs are by a guy named Colin Ayers, and now Ryan Grigliano. Brian Toohey did a bunch of them. But it depends on the sound, because there's tens of thousands of sound effects, and not including dialogue. So, we just have to go, and then are you available to do this? And then you go do it, and it depends on what the sound is. It's 4. Okay, that sounds right. I worked on sounds for, I did sound effects all over the place. I did some of the guns way back then, and I did the A10 Warthog and a bunch of the multiplayer maps, grenades on a few of the games, a bunch of equipment stuff, and, various sound effects. A little bit of AI. I'm not too good at AI. Colin is really good at AI, so is Ryan. My signature is a tattoo. I have really bad handwriting, are you sure? Extra piano, but it's not on the album. Is there any reason? Yeah, I was saying this earlier. When I had the original song done and the piano was on it, we just put the piano on just to put extra stuff in there, and I think a few of the people didn't like it, so we took it out, and then that's what shipped, and then I put the piano version on my channel just for the heck of it. You dig the Warthog? Right on. Was there any reason Abra specifically got the damned callback in it? Well, this goes back to songwriting. The blank page is the hardest thing. Where do you start when you have infinite possibilities? And, I was telling Brian, my boss, I'm like, I don't have anything written yet. He's like, just take damned and write a song off of that. I'm like, no, I can't make that into a song. He's like, just try it. So I did, and it worked. I should just listen to him from the beginning. And without Brian, there would be no songs, because he, when I put the chord progression into the death song for Knocked, he's like, you should turn that into a song. And I, resisted at first. I'm like, I don't think I can turn that into a song. And then he's pushing me. He's like, just do it. So I did. I haven't played Dead Space. I don't know why I didn't play that. Everyone around me played it and said it was great. Right on, Resurrected. Thanks, Swift. Abra's insane. Thanks to Elena. Yeah, definitely thanks to Elena. How do I get inspiration? It can come from anywhere. I start reading books, watching movies, listening to music, looking at art. It's around you everywhere. You just have to find it and be vigilant. Does a remaster of Coming Home exist? Would it be possible to a remaster? I don't know what I would remaster about it. Right on, Peachy. Was I personally invested in the main storyline? Well, I mean, I liked it, and I would offer, feedback whenever I can, because everybody's working on it, so everybody's opinions get considered. my favorite process for making the songs. It's kind of the same process, but it's also always different. You know, just gotta find that initial thing that sparks an idea, and then theme and variation, and then, you know, carve it. It's like a sculptor, little tiny pieces at a time. Did anyone ever lose their voice while singing? No. I mean, not from the singing. Someone may have gotten a cold during, you know, the middle of it or something. I don't know. Why is Coming Home so heavy? I mean, that's obviously very derivative of Bleed by Meshuggah. I was just experimenting with doing some stuff. Again, back in my old music machine, and then new drum program, and chopping up some guitars and just trying to do a similar type of thing but with a different groove. And then I had no other song idea, and I had 4 weeks to complete it, so I just like, well, I've got this one thing, I have to commit to this, and that's what that came from. That was like a 4-week from nothing to final, which is the fastest song I've ever written. Was the bass programmed or played? I played the bass on almost everything. There was a couple songs where I used Easy Bass by Toontrack just to try it out and see what I thought. I prefer to play it though, because there's a lot of nuance that just, you get the sound just right, and you have to use your hands to do that. And the bass on Lullaby was from a keyboard that Corey played. Ever think about making black metal? I take elements probably from them, from black metal, but I'm not, you know, concentrated in a particular genre, I don't think. Not because I want to be that way, it's just the way it works out. It seemed like it kept getting heavier with each map. I'm sure the more I worked and the less sleep I got, the angrier I was becoming. Is there any track you aren't happy with or wish you could do differently? Yeah, all of them. Did I plan to have Julie Nathanson? No, that was all Craig. He wrote the the original kind of chord and lyric thing, and they recorded her singing it, and basically we just got it and had to completely rearrange it. I should get Craig to release the original. You can see how different it is. It was a fun project. What would I do differently about Dead Ended? I don't know. I mean, there's always, it'd be like minor things. It would be things that no one would really care about. You dig what WTF? Yeah, that was a weird one. That's why we named it that. I should have Brian release the original part, the electronic part that WTF came from. Who composed the song intro for Revelations, the scene with Maxis and Richtofen destroying? Probably Brian, I'm guessing. Sorry, I'm trying to read all these and answer as much as I can. It's hard to do this on a phone. It's like, it's so small. Hearing me say I want to redo all of them, I know it's funny. I think everybody feels that way. Most musicians, unless, like if they're with a label and they can spend months in the studio just getting everything pristine, perfect. But with me, it's been just very quick. Thanks, Ashes. Perspective, I will neither confirm nor deny the perspectives of who they're supposed to be. There's no chance that the lyrics are relevant to the story. You like the instrumentals to Abra? Cool. And you guys know about Dead Ended, the riff came from the campaign mission. I forget the ship name of the mission, but it was in Hue City, I believe. Did 115 use all physical instruments? I mean, guitar and bass are all me, just playing. The drums are programmed, and obviously the vocals are vocals. Did I think the music would get as popular as it did? No, definitely not. Favorite guitar tone in a particular song? Guitar tone is another one of those funny things where I think everybody hates their own. Like, I did not think 115's guitar tone was good at all, but then an interesting story you might not know is when I did Dead Ended, I actually used the same patch as 115, but it was using I was using Pod Farm, and it was on a previous version that I didn't have installed anymore, and I had to buy a Pod Farm 2, like the hardware off of eBay, to even be able to run the old software on an old version of Pro Tools to finally get it. And I was obsessed with it because it just wasn't quite right. And it didn't sound right with the drums unless I got that guitar tone perfect. Grievous. Any reason the one instrumental in Vanguard? Sometimes we use the instrumentals to put in various places if we want to do extra stuff. And thanks for the 2. Mike Dude, hey Kevin, just want to say I always consider you a legend. I've been playing since Bo 2. The music took part. Has always been incredible, memorable moments playing with it. Hey, Mike, awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks again. Save your money though, man. I really appreciate it. Input on licensed music? I mean, I can have input, I'm sure, but it gets decided largely by design and Brian, the audio director, and keep going up from there. There could be some executive somewhere who wants to put something in, or PR, or there's a lot of people who care about the game and make decisions like that. What was the closest to release that I finished a song? Well, if you remember, there was a I'ma check it out, or I'ma try it out Skrillex song that was replaced by, I think it was Carry On. It's because I didn't have it done in time and we had to patch the song in. So I think that was the latest one. And the great whatever you're asking me about, do I know about the story? Yeah, I go over the story with the team the whole time through development to understand it, to be able to write. So yeah, remember, I'm gonna check it out, or I keep saying check it out, try it out. That's why it was in there, because I wasn't done. How many people are involved in making a song? What are the processes? Well, I mean, I have to write it all and then get the singer to rehearse it and practice it and then record it. And then I have to make sure I edit, clean up everything, and then get it to mix and master. So, and I have Maluka somewhere in the middle there. She started editing and tuning vocals for me so that I didn't have to take the time to do it. So it's usually like me and Maluka doing that work, and then Scott is usually mix master, and then of course, what do I say, me, Maluka, Scott, and then whoever the vocalist is. So it's only about 4 people. An Xmas zombie song? Yeah, maybe. What's up, Gator? Yeah, I mean, why some of the songs reference some of the other songs, because it's all important part of the story. I try to reinforce concepts through lyrics, and that's why you'll see, oh, I remember this lyric from this other song, or why it says Beauty of Annihilation here, is because that has representative value. How is it working with Archangel and the 3 singers? It's harder. It was hard to do that because that was one of the first times that nobody came into the studio to record, so it was all remote. But it was cool. Tattoo happened? I mean, yeah, if... sure. Juan Wick, by the way, I wanted to thank you accidentally getting me into metal, shape standards metal before I even got a metal. Thank you very much. Right on, man. Glad to have you on board. Thanks for the 4. Well, technically 5. Appreciate it, man. Activision never releases Bo 2 and 3 zombie songs. Well, they're out there now. They did. Yeah, Alone was popular. Mastercraft, Jingle Hells, yeah. Do you guys know this? But the first theme in Echoes of the Damned, it's a bunch of build and it drops into that like theme. That is the Alone melody before I wrote Alone. I wrote that and then I turned that into Alone. It's very subtle in Echoes of the Damned, but it's that first big theme. Not the legit Damned theme that comes at the end, but that first one. It's Alone. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't. Is it 2 a.m. where I live? No. What happened to the white hat? It's a little cold at the moment, so my formal white hat is on a hook somewhere. Did I write the scrapped Hellhound? Yes, that was me. Maybe I might actually write that into a whole song. I've had that forever. We got there. Mr. Matt, just want to thank you for your inspiration. Played music for 15 years and taught drums for 5. Awesome. I transcribed some of your stuff and it's great. That's awesome, man. Transcription, I think, is one of the fundamentals of any musician because you really learn the inner workings of music and it helps you as a writer. And it's helped me more than anything. And it's also stuff it's hard to do and arduous, and that's what will separate most people from people who are unwilling to do that. What made you switch off of Instagram just now? Oh, I mean earlier? I had to go do something. I had some food delivered. Love to hear something on the scrapped Hellhound. Yeah, man, me too. I should do that. That's another, what did I call the Dead Flowers thing? Fragment that I have that I could use. But everyone knows that one already. First impression when I was introduced to the idea of zombies. Well, I mean, it just appeared in the studio and I was able to, and my boss showed me and I was like, oh my God, this is great. So we just started staying late to work on it. That was amazing. Sweet dude, did you ever have any involvement in determining the steps in game to activate your songs, like choosing which 3 items? Not really. I think it was probably Brian or Colin that were doing that, and they were certainly the ones implementing it. It was after the toilet flush was a homage to an older game that escapes me at the moment. But then it just became pressing use on 3 times on something. And then it became 115 Meteor Pieces. Do I still write music? Yeah. Any games I play nowadays? I haven't been playing anything. I need to start again. I wish I could remember the game of the toilet flush. Tui is the one who came up with that as the homage, and I can't remember what it's called now. Like old game. Would I consider WTF the original Easter egg song? Yeah, I guess kinda. Do I feel happy or proud that I made many people's childhoods with all your zombies music? Yeah, well, I like sharing music. Like I like. I'm gonna sound all new agey or something, but it's one of my favorite things to do. Like Corey and I used to do this. Is chord progressions, why they make you feel a certain way, is a crazy thing, and so I enjoy doing that and having other people affected by it, and then talking about it. It's just a cool thing to me. No problems, Bubby. Thanks, Swift. It's getting windy. Did I do the guitar work in the World at War campaign? Yes, that was all me. That was the first time I put music into the game at all, was when you go out to fight in the streets in Berlin 2, I think it was called Eviction. You walk out of the broken out building that you start in, and when you go out there, I did a little guitar thing, and a bunch of people liked it, so I started adding more and more. Favorite food to eat while making music? Coffee. Why did Lullaby have a music box in the background? Oh, that was probably the... It's like you're talking about the piano. That was just something we had in the beginning we took out, and I just put the version that had it back in. How do you make drums sound good? Yeah, that is the question of the century. I'm glad you think they sound good. I mean, everyone's always, I don't know. I mean, starting with good sounds is one thing, and then having a good mix afterwards. A lot of it is a short version is essentially parallel compression, where you have your dry drum sounds, and then you have the whole kit smashed and compressed at the same time, and you use a fader to bring that up so you can get that really, the room compression of the snare. You get the close mic plus the explosion of the room together. It's gelling that, and it's a little bit more complicated, but that's the basics. And for things like toms, you can split the toms into the low part and the high part by taking the sound, splitting it on two different tracks, and you EQ up the high mids in the attack of the stick, and then you EQ the do part of the toms differently. Sweet dude, did you do the Die Rise Game Over sound? Prison Gates closing, and what do you consider your most underrated song? Maybe from campaign. I don't remember the Die Rise Game Over. Is that that might have been a Tui song. I think that was Tui. And underrated, I don't know. I don't know what the rating of my songs necessarily is, or I'm happy about people liking the music, so I don't feel like there's anything I deserve more of. I appreciate it, dude. Sweet dude. Any singer get sore throat from yelling? Nah. I mean, it was mostly Elena that did the screaming. It was out of character, and Clark knows how to manipulate his voice. He's been singing for years. Is Craig Houston in a Perk Machine? Yeah, he does vocals on a few of them. Elena did vocals for some of the Perks way back in the day. Fisher, thanks, man. You think I Am the Well is underrated? People don't like the map? Well, yeah. I Am the Well is fun. It's a fast song. Always Running, I hear talked about the least. Something interesting. That was the first one I decided to try my 8-string with clean tone. When you hit that bottom string and it's clean, it just, especially if you put headphones on, it's just this enveloping sound. It sounds so cool. I really like that. And harmonically, I like talking about, I learned a lot from writing it. Always Running is a very ambiguously harmonic song because I'm constantly switching from major to minor the whole time. Was I involved in the Perk jingles? Not too much. I mean, it was, Tui and Colin, Craig. It was mostly those guys. And then Jack, of course, when the jazz stuff came up, he wrote some world-class stuff. Thanks, JDPF14. Hope you're having a great night, too. Is there a longer version of the Game Over song from Buried? If that was probably a Tui tune, and I don't think there is. Ever had to do research to come up for lyrics? Yeah, all the time. I every single time I do lyrics, I actually have I use a program called Standard Notes. It's an open source encrypted note program that you can sync, and I just go looking for poetry and literature and pull sections of things that mean something to me, and I paste them all in there. I go through them and I try to see if I can word things in my own way. So I have references when I write the lyrics, like this references like these 3 paragraphs and it's one line, and I have tons of just pasted notes that I go through. Most challenging hurdle the sound team had to overcome, just the deadlines back in the day. They were just so insane. But we loved it. We loved our jobs and what we do. So, you know, we were a band of brothers. Gareth, yeah, man, I'm live. You just checked out Alone for the first time? It's an interesting one. It's definitely a departure. Hey, Darth, yeah, it's been a while. What was the We All Fall Down Clark saying, the deepest? Yeah, it was probably that one. What does Ride White Knight Unite My Plight Tonight from Paradolia mean? Well, it's kind of a last gasp commandment towards, you know, it's a play on White Knight, you know, is usually a savior, but I'm using white as in the, you know, dead demon, Old English spelling. So you can infer from that. Am I going to play Warframe? Yeah. That rain check's getting kind of long. Did I do Hell's Gate? Yep, I did. You haven't heard Carry On? You should check it out, see if you like it. What's up, Dank Derpsy? Do I like pickles on my burgers? I do. Very much so. Did I play Titanfall? I did not. Nothing against that game. The only game I've played in like the last 5 years has been The Last of Us multiplayer. And some Diablo. If I've seen or heard Metal Hellsinger, I've only seen it because Christina told me she did a song for it, and I checked that song out, but I haven't played it. Elena does country. Yeah, she's kind of country blues singer-songwriter. Her album's on Spotify. It's called The Mighty. If you go to any of our songs that she sings on it, you can click her artist name and you can see her discography, and it's in there. Thanks, Shadowstar. I don't like pineapple on my pizza. The classic song set, WTF, Lullaby, One, and Beauty. Yeah, I think it is. You're surprised to see the Christmas round singers? We were just, so when I was compiling this, we were just trying to get everything that had some musical merit that people might like. And some of the shorter stuff, like the Playground and the Christmas stingers, we thought maybe you guys would like to use on TikTok or Instagram Reels, you know, some of that stuff. So we're still compiling more. I still want to release other volumes if possible. And, you know, so you can go in my Discord or on my Twitter or wherever and suggest like, hey, I want to hear this one musical thing from this one map or this one DLC or, you know, whatever, because we're just trying to remember all the stuff that people might want to hear. Have I ever listened to David Bowie? Yes, I have. I actually watched, what was it, The Dark Crystal? No, Labyrinth the other day. If I could make music for another game, what would it be? I don't know. Did I make WA or Black Ops guns? Some of them, yes. I can't recall which ones. I looked at my Spotify page and 115 is my most popular song, yeah. It definitely is. Full Metal Everything, do you have guitar tips? I love your playing. Get a metronome and practice slow consistently. Try to do it at least 15 minutes, maybe 5 days a week. Don't let yourself speed up. Keep it at 120 and write a notebook of exercises and pick randomly from them. Pretty soon you'll be able to play anything. 115 drum cover when? Yeah, that'd be cool. David Bowie is fantastic, yeah. What do I think of the Doom internal soundtrack? Probably the same thing everyone else thinks. It's awesome. Did I have 115 ready for WA since it was supposed to have a map pack for? It wasn't ready yet. So I guess technically that's the song that took me the longest because it was unfinished and a lot of time went by and then I finished it for the next one. Clark Nova, big Boy fan. Yep, he is. When did I start with 8 or 9 strings? Nowadays, bands like Periphery, they're popular. Well, I mean, when I got my 8-string, 8 strings became popular in metal from the album Nothing by Meshuggah. After that, the 8-string was a usable guitar. Pretty much. What did you do to make the sound effect at the beginning for Alone and after the guitar drum starts? That it's some synths plus some lead guitar, like a couple different synths and a lead guitar playing in unison until I got the sound I wanted. Favorite song that I wrote? I tell everybody it's Lullaby just because it was the first. Will I ever use the 10-string? Maybe. When I did that, I kind of thought I might start going down the whole gent path, animals as leaders, Periphery, that kind of thing. But when I got it, I'm like, I like their music, but I don't think I write that style, so I just never really used it for anything I was recording. Right on, sweet. Appreciate it, Reactiverse. Yeah, a lot of people like Pareidolia, I noticed. I wasn't sure how that would be received, but pretty good, I would say. Have I ever thought about doing acoustic versions? Yeah, I was actually having a conversation about that 2 days ago. So, stay tuned, I might actually do that. With the lyrics based on the story? Yeah, always. Yeah, I just had to put a title, stream number 1 trillion. I don't know how many streams I do. It's definitely not that many. Favorites, Dead Flowers, right on. Would I ever take a peek in the crematorium? I don't want to lose my mind, so I'd be afraid to. Favorite version of Damned? I mean, the OG. Can you be the well too? Yeah, possibly. Process for coming up with a title for songs. I mean, understanding what the song's about in the middle eventually tells me what the title is. You dig the piano at the end of Pareidolia, right on. Background ambience in Call of the Dead and Shang. Oh, Yeah, I did Call of the Dead background. That's A Cold Wind Blows. That's on the album too. And Shangri-La, James did that one. We wanted to make something akin to 90s horror. Thanks, Steven. Ashes, about your t-shirt in most of your COD Zombie song thumbnails. Was that because somebody made that for me? A guy named Kona had a buddy who just got a shirt printed for me when I did this panel at WizardCon a long time ago. And it was a play from that game, I made a game with zombies in it, I think. And so he just made me that shirt. Playthrough, I don't know. Yeah, Stormbound would be cool. I'm glad you like the ambient stuff, Gilly. Thumbnail art, yes. Lucas Weiss did 90% of the thumbnail, 95, 99, something like that. He's a great artist. Shockwave? What is shock? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Do you have any expectations for the rumored T-Lao MP? I wish there was, in that newer game, I wish they had made MP. The T-Lao MP is one of the best MPs I've ever played. It's different than COD. It's just in its own, it's like so heavy and weighted and I'll say balanced. I'm sure I'll get some arguments, but I loved it. Yeah, if you want to draw thumbnails, that's cool. You can post them in the art section of the Discord if you want. It's all good, Madcap. Do what you got to do. Favorite wonder weapon? I mean, I love the ray gun. And Zeus, you're making me feel old. There's a Discord, yeah. I should have a link in all my videos now. It's the link tree. I don't think I would have chosen them, but I already have it set up, and that should include a Discord server. I'm not in there often, I am sometimes, but would you recommend trying to get into AAA game dev? I mean, if you want to be a game dev, yeah, go where you like the game. Why Light from Shore has no lyrics? No, I don't think we were going to be able to coordinate a vocalist doing something at the time, so I'm like, okay, I'll either do nothing or write a instrumental. Fathead, glad you like drowning. Do I like table RPG? Yeah, I play actually a lot of Cthulhu with a guy I used to play T-Lao with. Remixing Where Are We Going? I didn't remix that. That's actually Jack Wall did that. That's all him. Hey, sorry guys, I actually gotta head out. I had to go eat my food and then actually go to bed. But we will do this again. I'll be live streaming on what's it called? Instagram and here when I can. So I'll try to do this. I'm not going to probably have a schedule, I don't think. It'll probably be whenever I feel like it and want to come outside and have a cigar. But I love you guys. This was really fun. I'm glad you guys could be here. I miss doing this. And I want to give away more music secrets if I can. So talk to you later.